Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. If I could have everyone's attention, and looks like everybody that's coming is here, so we'll get going. First of all, thank you for coming today, and we're going to have a very nice day of acknowledging some really good people that have accomplished some really good things here. And before we start with the police department portion of the ceremony, we're also going to do some town of Chatham pins are going to be put out, and the town manager, Jill Goldsmith, is going to present those. So I'm going to, Jill, if you want to come up and.
Thank you. So on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and I'm really pleased to award the Town of Chatham pin, and it's part of our One Team, One Town program. And so we're catching up. We've had it in effect for about a year, and I was looking through our records and found that we missed a few people. So as part of the swearing-in ceremony, we also want to give the same officers for years of service a town pin. So I have them here, and if you want to come up, we'll call your name. All right, so John Whittle, 30 years of service. I know that I'm not going to pin it on him, and this is could be dangerous, let me just tell you, workers' comp. Okay. All right, Bill Little, I know he wasn't able to make it today. Jeff Phillips for 10 years of service. Thank you. It's so nice, I don't get to see all the officers at one time or during the day when I'm around. All right, Tom Powers for 10 years of service. This next two are a little special because I was actually the appointing authority. So we have Chris Merrigan for 5 years of service. All right. And then last but not least, we have Chris Vardakis, also for 5 years of service. And I'm going to save the other two after the police chief makes his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jill. That's the overall town's acknowledgement of the years of service for the officers. But in the police department, we also do something very special. The officers wear year pins, and what it does is it designates a milestone in terms of the number of years they've been on the job. So the first milestone would be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, et cetera. So I just want to say, years of service, well, okay, what's the big deal? You've been on 5 years, you've been on 10 years. Well, for police officers, I would just say, we get called, obviously, when something goes wrong, something goes bad. People don't generally call us when they're having a picnic in their backyard. We get called for all the not so good stuff, the unpleasant stuff. And so acknowledging officers for doing several years of service, whether it be 5, 10, 15, and in one case 30 years that we're looking at today with John Whittle, that's a lot of years of dealing with a lot of bad stuff. So in that sense, it truly is an accomplishment, and in terms of being able to respond to all these things that we do and that the officers do, and doing it year after year after year. So it's well worthy of an acknowledgement. Before we get into the presentation of the years of service pens, I just want to acknowledge we have several members from the Board of Selectmen here. We have Shireen Davis, Hi, Shireen. We have Corey Metters. Corey. We have Dean DeCastro, the chairman. And the newest member of the Board of Selectmen is Peter Kokolis. Peter. And like I always like to do whenever I get a chance is acknowledge my wife, Pam, who's here today. And along with acknowledging my wife, Pam, is acknowledging all the family members of police department employees, the shifts that police officers work, and I know we have a good contingent from the fire department, Peter, our chief, and you guys can relate to this, of course, but shift work, doing shift work, holidays, weekends, midnights, getting called in at all different hours, being held over all different times, when those storms are out there and you're in hopefully a nice, safe, warm house. The officers are out there doing their thing. And it's just something that, the family member support is so important, whether it be spouse, whether it be, mother, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, extended family. It's really, really important. And just to acknowledge all of you, all the family members who support police officers and dispatchers, because it's so important. And a round of applause to all of you for that. So we talked about years of service and what it means, and each officer who has hit their milestone, they've got acknowledgement previously by the town. But I'm going to hand out their award pens, and I'm going to ask them to come up individually. I'm going to hand them their award pen and have them line up here. And I'm going to start with 5 years is Chris Merrigan. Come on up, Chris. Congratulations, Chris. And next is 5 years also is Chris Vardakis. Chris? And going on to 10 years is Jeff Phillips. Jeff? And also 10 years, Tom Powers. Tom? And last but certainly not least, after 30 years, John Whittle. Come on up, John. And again, it's, the number of years is what it is, whether it's 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, or 30 years. But the years of service pens will be worn on their uniforms. I don't wear one because the numbers don't go up that high, so, because I'm beyond 30. But they can proudly wear those pens knowing that, as I said, it's not just years of service, it's years of dealing with a lot of really difficult stuff, challenging stuff, but also very rewarding stuff. And serving the community here is very rewarding. So one last round of applause for these officers. Sure. Sure. Our photographer is making sure we have a good photo op here. Thank you. Have a seat, guys. Thank you. So the next portion of the program here is something really special. And when I say it's really special, I truly mean it. As I mentioned, years of service, of serving the community and dealing with challenging things that's really tremendous stuff. But there's folks that have to lead the people who do that. And that's what the next portion of our program today is going to be, promotions. And we're promoting 2 people, one to lieutenant and one to deputy chief. And just in terms of how special that is, there are between 1% and 5% of police officers who come into the career of being a police officer ever make it to that level. 1% to 5%. And out of a population of approximately 1 million police officers across the country, that's really something to be proud of. It's really special, and it's something that is quite an accomplishment. So with that, I'm going to ask our first promotee is Sergeant Andy Goddard. Sergeant Goddard, come on up. So Andy is a very experienced officer and sergeant, and his service to this community has been outstanding. And he has learned, he has grown, he has educated himself in terms of best practices on policing and the way to really do the job right. And I'm very happy today that he's going to make that transition, promotion from sergeant to lieutenant. And lieutenant is a very important position in the Chatham Police Department. They oversee the 3 patrol shifts directly, and the 3 patrol shifts, the supervisors on each shift report directly to the lieutenant. And the lieutenant is there to ensure that we are doing things in a community-oriented manner, and that we are serving the public properly, and also that they are carrying out our problem-solving philosophy. Law enforcement is a term that it's what we do, it's part of what we do. I like the term policing better, and I like the term peace officer is my favorite term in terms of thinking about what police officers do. And because a peace officer does just that, they keep the peace. And so Andy is now in his position as lieutenant, is going to be leading the patrol shifts in that direction directly by overseeing each of the sergeants. And going in the direction of, continuing to go in the direction of a problem-solving philosophy and being community-oriented is going to be Andy's task. So with that, if I could have Julie, oh, there you are. Julie Smith, our town clerk, is going to administer the swearing in.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially perform the duties imposed upon you by your appointment as lieutenant, according to the town charter, the bylaws of Chatham, and the laws of the Commonwealth?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. I also am going to, in addition to the swearing in, I'm going to administer the law enforcement oath of honor. It's also known as a police officer's honor code. And the oath of honor is something that's very important because this officer, this lieutenant, Andy, is going to be leading, some very important people to do very important work. And the one thing I think is important about leadership, if you look up leadership, and there's lots of different wonderful quotes about leadership, and I have my own, and in terms of what Andy's going to be responsible for. And that's leadership to me, the essence of leadership is preparing the people you are leading to be successful. And that's what he's going to be doing, is preparing the people that he is leading to be successful. And Andy, that's going to be your job, and I'm going to administer the oath of honor. Raise your right hand. On my honor,
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge,
I will never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
or
or the public trust.
the public trust.
I will always have the courage to hold myself
I will always have the courage to hold myself
and others
and others
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold
I will always uphold
the Constitution,
the Constitution,
my community,
my community,
and the agency I serve.
and the agency I serve.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask Polly to come up, Andy's wife, and she is going to pin the new badge. Hopefully, she won't injure him, because this is sharp. But Polly, all yours.
Thank you.
There you go.
We have paramedics here.
Thank you very much.
Andy, congratulations. And as I mentioned, lieutenant's a very important position in the department. But another very important position in the department is that of deputy chief. And the deputy chief carries out the overall direction, working directly under the police chief, and make sure that the lieutenant is carrying out the proper direction on the patrol shifts. But there's also a number of administrative duties, responsibilities, and that sort of thing that always have to be performed, always have to be done, and the deputy chief is responsible for that. So with that, I'm going to ask Lieutenant Michael Anderson to please come up. So Mike has been very involved with all kinds of different aspects in the police department. He has been a detective, he has been a sergeant, he's worked his share of midnight shifts over the years and been being called in on all kinds of different hours and all kinds of not so pleasant things that he's had to deal with. I mentioned at these ranks that you're seeing today, 1 to 5%, well, that 1% is like a deputy chief. So 1% of the population of police officers that go into the career of policing achieve this rank. So this is truly a very special, wonderful day for Michael and for his family. And so with that, Julie, if you could come up and swear in our deputy chief.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially perform the duties imposed upon you by your appointment as deputy chief according to the town charter, the bylaws of Chatham, and the laws of the Commonwealth?
I do.
Thank you, Julie. And I'm also going to do the oath of honor with Deputy Chief Michael Anderson. Mike, raise your right hand. On my honor,
On my honor,
I will never betray my badge,
I'll never betray my badge,
my integrity,
my integrity,
my character,
my character,
or the public trust.
or the public trust.
I will always have the courage
I'll always have the courage
to hold myself
to hold myself
and others
and others
accountable for our actions.
accountable for our actions.
I will always uphold
I will always uphold
the Constitution,
the Constitution,
my community,
my community,
and the agency I serve.
and the agency I serve.
Congratulations. And with that, I'm going to ask Mike's family to come up, wife Kathy, and daughters Brooke and Ashley. I had to write this down because there's a special order I have to hand this badge over to. It goes to Brooke first, who's going to hand it to Ashley, who's going to hand it to Mrs. Anderson. So, here you go, Brooke. Well, I'm so proud and happy of these two individuals right now. Going through the process of getting promoted is very difficult, and I just want to say to my staff who went through the process, and for those who didn't make it, the sergeants who did not make lieutenant, this was a difficult choice, and I tell you, I have such an incredible staff, and it makes this decision very hard because I've had three wonderful sergeants that are not up here on the stage today, but I want to acknowledge them because they do an outstanding job every day, day in and day out, as supervisors of their patrol shifts. And Bill Massey, Sergeant. Sarah Harris in the back. Sarah. And Bill Glover. Well, folks, that wraps up our ceremony, and again, I just want to have one last round of applause, but before we do that, I just want to let everyone know we have refreshments and some snacks and whatnot in the small meeting room next door, so please join us for that, and one last round of applause.